Allow me to introduce to you my next FPS addiction, Out of Action. Nice. Let's go. Oh, dude, that was so sick. Oh, no. Oh my gosh, this movement is insane. Alright, I'll take a trade. Fair trade. Now, if you clicked on this video not knowing what Out of Action is, which I'm guessing is most of you, I'm going to do my best to try and explain what the game is and my overall thoughts on it as well. So, Out of Action. What exactly is it? Well, it's a first-person shooter set in a futuristic, dystopian cyberpunk universe available only on Steam. And the first thing you might notice is just how cool the art style is. It literally looks like if you took the visuals of CD Projekt Red's Cyberpunk 2077, added a dark anime twist to it, and made a multiplayer game. And if you didn't know, Cyberpunk 2077 is one of my favorite games of all time. So to have a multiplayer experience that has similar themes to that game, it's just so awesome. But anyways, the animations for this game are great, showing how to have both very smooth animations with quick and snappy gunplay. And on top of that, the mechanics are so fluid and so enjoyable to perform when executed properly. And that's the key word, properly. It might not look like it at first glance, but this game is not a casual experience at all. In fact, the skill gap is quite high, and the main reason that's the case is the mechanics. See, unlike other multiplayer shooters, this game has slower gunplay with extremely fast movement. And I'm not just talking about cracked out sliding and bunny hopping. Oh no. Out of Action brings elements like air rolling, parkour, wall running, wall bouncing, mid-air acrobatics, and in even some cases, jetpacks on top of your typical sliding and bunny hopping. Alright, I really need to learn how to do these mechanics. Okay, so let's try to start with wall running. Oh, so you just stick to the wall. And you just stay here too, so you can go this way too. Wow, that's really cool. And then you obviously got like the sliding and dashing. That's awesome. Okay, I need to learn how to use the jetpack. Okay, I think Dragon is the class that has the jetpack. Let's see how this works. Oh yeah, and you just double jump and you have a jetpack. That is so freaking cool. There's even an ability called the Core ability that, when activated, affects all players within line of sight with a slow motion effect, which can cause some chaos, but ultimately creates really cinematic slow-mo duels. Oh, whoa. This is the slow-mo stuff. Oh, this is so weird. And this game has got me. I don't even know how to explain it, but there's just something about this game that just feels right. I keep wanting to come back to it every day, even on the days when I'm playing bad. Now, Out of Action is currently in early access, and the biggest thing about this game that really shocked me, and frankly was the reason I wanted to give this game a try, was the fact that Out of Action was made by one guy. Yeah, you heard me right. This game, the one you're watching right now, was made and developed by one person, Doku, from Doku Games, which every time I think about that, it blows my mind. And now you might be asking yourself, well, it's in early access, it was made by only one person, there's probably not much content outside of the multiplayer. And you're right, but you're also somewhat wrong. Out of Action has a lot of progression and grinding to it. Not only do you have to learn the immense movement and the recoil patterns of the guns, but there's also a skill tree which affects your build crafting and custom loadouts. And there's also an offline mode to practice against AI. And the skill tree, which Doku is calling the Matrix, is immense, with tons of different upgrades and things that change the way you play the game. Wow, there is so much here in this skill tree. This is insane. This is gonna take me a while to learn. Holy crap. The matrix upgrades are what affects your custom loadouts, with certain pathways dictating your player's shell, which a shell is basically just what determines your base stats and if you have a jetpack or not, as well as augments, weapons, and some other things. And looking at the custom loadouts, you can see that you choose your player's shell, change your equipment, equip up to 4 different augments, and use 2 different weapons with slots for weapon mods. But now let me explain why I said Out of Action has both a lot of content and also not so much. This grind of the matrix and building your custom loadouts combined with the multiplayer is what gives Out of Action a lot of depth. But once you kind of get what you want in terms of your loadout, the game pretty much just becomes a somewhat basic multiplayer, a solid and fun multiplayer that isn't really like anything else, but a simple multiplayer nonetheless. And to my knowledge, there's only 5 maps in the game and 3 game modes, and because of the nature of this game's development, the multiplayer runs off community supported servers, so it doesn't have its own servers, which depending on your region and the time you play and the time of day you log on, means there won't always be available lobbies for you to join. From my experience, there's only usually been about 1 to maybe 3 lobbies that are either full with players or have more than just 1 or 2 players playing, and the rest of the lobbies are either empty or have way too high of a ping. And this is probably why the developer decided to add an offline mode for these type of situations. And playing this game, while it is very fun, it can somewhat get repetitive pretty quickly, which is why I've been treating this game as a sort of play it when I'm bored for about 20 to 30 minutes a day and then call it good. But this segues us to the part of the video where I want to talk about some of the things I'm not loving. And just to preface this criticism is not meant to be negative for the sake of being negative. Instead, I hope this criticism will be constructive, and who knows, maybe even the developer will see this video and it might help the game's development. But the first and main thing I'm not loving about this game is the lack of controller support. I'm someone that, well, okay, I suck at mouse and keyboard. I grew up a console kid and I didn't get a PC until somewhat recently, and because of that, M&K is just something I've never fully given a chance to try and learn. So I traditionally play controller, and even though you can use Steam input to play this game and the gameplay you're watching is with a controller, I had to tinker with the settings for about 30 minutes to an hour just to get it to where it works somewhat well. And even then, I lost out on some features of the game because there wasn't any way to utilize them properly on controller. And this game was not built for a controller, at least for right now. So using a controller really puts you at a disadvantage compared to players who are playing on M&K. And I know others have asked the developer about this, and to my knowledge, I think he is working on it, but I'm not entirely sure that's the case. So the first thing I would love to see would be controller support. The next and also big thing that I'm not loving is the lack of a tutorial for the game. I was recently on the developer's Twitter account and I did see that an in-game tutorial is something he's going to be adding, so I won't stay on this topic too long, but the game's mechanics, progression systems, and game modes are a little confusing. I've put some time into this game and I still don't fully understand the ins and outs of everything, so I am very much looking forward to when Doku is able to add that in-game tutorial. The next thing I don't love is there's a cooldown when swapping loadouts. If you're using a particular loadout and maybe it's a gun you don't want to use, you have to wait a certain amount of time before you can swap off of it. I would love if that cooldown was just removed so you could swap loadouts more freely. And finally, the only other thing I've not loved is there seems to be inconsistent hit registration and some desync going on. To be fair, not every gunfight I get into has these problems, but I've been in enough fights to notice that there is an issue there. And one last note, I would love to see more maps and more game modes, which I believe is something we will be getting in the near future, as the developer recently stated that he hit over 20,000 units sold and 50,000 wish lists on Steam, which will cover the development costs going forward. A huge milestone and one I'm super happy to be a part of. And ultimately, this game is awesome. I love treating it as a quick and fun game to just sit down for a little bit and play every day, and I'm very excited to see where this game goes in the future once it's out of early access. But that's a wrap on today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and let me know in the comments if Out of Action is a game you would like to give a try. But anyway guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Later.